No, sir. Everybody all good? Good evening, folks. Gonna call the meeting to order here on Tuesday, October 4th at 7 o'clock at the town offices. First item on the agenda is pledge allegiance. Please join and stand us.
Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gender review. I don't have anything to pull in.
No.
Earl, anything in gender review?
Well, I don't know, the library,
Yeah.
were you gonna bring that up under other business?
What were we gonna bring up?
Well, did you have it anywhere, you didn't have it on the agenda, right?
No, I didn't know.
So I don't know where you wanna put it.
Other business.
Yeah,
Yep.
other business.
Alright, up to the library.
Yep.
Any other necessary business? Okay, anything else, Earl?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Kathy, anything?
I'm good, thank
Joe's
you.
we good?
Tabling the joint meeting minutes.
Yes, okay. Brian?
No, I guess I'm set.
Ed, anything?
We're good to go.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the September 20th regular meeting minutes.
I'll move.
One second.
All right, any other discussion on them? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. And we are tabling the other ones because we haven't got them back from the village yet. Public comment, anybody got anything under public comment that's not on the agenda? That's good there. Select board vacancies, first thing on the agenda, interview applicants.
They've sent in a letter of intent
Okay.
and a brief resume. So I will pass these out. Let's see. Together. I think they're all together here. See.
Yeah, that's about it, yeah.
Oop, sorry.
Two are there.
Yes, very good.
Thank you.
I don't know if this thing is muted or what, but I can't hear anything.
Oh, okay. Can anyone else hear?
I don't know.
Can you hear Cindy?
Hello?
Can you hear Cindy?
Yes, I can.
All right.
Now, with it muted, you couldn't hear?
Yes.
That's odd. I wonder if that's even odd. Can you hear?
Just barely.
Not right now. No one's talking right now, Cindy, but when you were muted, you couldn't hear it anything at all?
No,
But you can hear stuff, that's what you said? Right, okay. Okay, alright, thank you, okay. Thanks. Cindy, there's not a lot of talking going right now because they're reading, that's probably why you're not hearing anything.
that's fine.
Okay.
Good? Good? Alright, I know we have a few people here tonight that are, put their name for the select board, I'll give you each one of you a minute to talk, a couple minutes to say anything you wanna say, and then we'll go into executive session and, for a minute, and decide what we wanna do. There's no random order, I don't care if it's Cody, Steve, who wants to go, Nick?
Sure.
Yeah.
I can go first.
Okay.
I think I'm well qualified, I would be a well qualified member of the Swanton Selectboard. I have a lot of community involvement already. I've been a justice of the peace, I'm a justice of the peace, I'm on the Chamber of Commerce, I involved a lot in local politics, and I want to expand that. And I want to expand that by being on the Swanton Selectboard, and I think I think I could help bring ways to help improve our community by I've been studying like what the select board has been doing, like with the recreation center, and with the ARPA funds and the new and improved website you're trying to do with the village. And I would like to, and also getting sidewalks near MVU. I would like to be part of making that happen. So if I'd be honored if you chose me as a select board member.
Alright, thank you very much. Cody, you wanna go next?
Yeah, sure. I'm Cody Hemingway. I applied because I was born and raised here in Swanton, and it's my home. So I guess I really care about it, and I want to make sure that I have the opportunity to become like a conduit for the residents. I'm really active in the community. Anything from being involved with the Abenakis to I help take care of the swans.
Yep.
But I like listening to what people have to say and their voices and their concerns, and I like to help resolve some issues, and my biggest thing would probably be attempting to keep people local instead of moving out of Swanton, keeping them here, our younger folks staying here, and I'm young, I stayed here for a reason, and I just see a lot of people moving away, so that saddens me.
Okay, thank you. Steve?
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. I've lived in Swanton all my life. I'm 74. Been involved in numerous governance activities. I'm a retired bank president. Still running a consulting business. Haven't fully retired yet, but I just wanted to be part of it. Never been involved in municipal affairs. Everything but, I think. And I just thought it would be time for me to be able to share what I've had over the last, I've been banking for about 50 years, over 50 years. So I thought I could bring that to this, to the community.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you, all three of you. Alright. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
We don't have a chance to ask any questions?
Oh, you certainly can if you want, absolutely, go right ahead.
Well, I have
No,
three.
apparently not.
I guess I'll start with what problems you feel are probably, issues that should be addressed in Swanton?
Me personally, I would like to see expanded development outside the village. I do think there's a lot of party from the village, and I would like to see more businesses and more stuff like recreation centers and parks, maybe go up to the town a little bit more. Another thing I believe is, I think getting sidewalks near MVU, that's been I remember when I was a kid, how much of I didn't live in the village when I was a kid, I lived out in town, but I remember how much of when I did have to walk to the village, I remember how much of a hassle that was. And I would love to get sidewalks that connect to the school. And the third thing is I believe that trying to get truck drivers and people that pass through town, tourists, finding ways for them to come into Swanton would, like by maybe giving them parking that they could use would be a great thing for the community and help expand economic development. So those are the three things.
I would, I kind of touched on it a little bit, find ways and brainstorm ways to keep people living in Swanton instead of moving elsewhere. There's a plethora of ways to do such, but I'd like to think of ways to also keep our youth active and out of trouble, motivate them to do better and to be successful, and to hopefully stay local, you know, and because ultimately it supports the economy, it supports our community. I just, you know, pretty dear to that part.
I think Swanton's made some tremendous progress in the last 20 years. If we could go around the village and the town and recognize all of it, and probably still forget the majority of it, but we've got a lot of committees in place. We've got a lot of hardworking people. My concern is the challenges that we're gonna face when it comes to fiscal management. I think we've got some pretty tight purse strings at this level. Never question a budget. I always thought that we're well prepared and very fair, but I think in the next 5 years or so, we're gonna have some real challenges as it relates to the impact of inflation on how we operate our communities and whatever. I'd like to be part of that, and I think I can bring that to the table. I think our relationship with the village is very good from what I read. I'd like to see that continue. I think we've got a really good police force, and I'd like to help out there if I could. But I'd just like to continue the hard work that's been done.
Thank you. Anybody else got any questions for the candidates?
One more
You want
question,
more?
nobody else has any.
I don't have some, but I like your question so far.
Would you plan to rerun again? You know, because this is only appointment till town meeting. And if you wanna fill the vacancy till the end of that term, whatever it is, do we know what the term is?
One's a 3-year term. And
Yeah, but the one that they're.
Oh, it's gonna end in March. You have to run for March.
Yeah, but how long a term? Oh, so his term would
6
have been
months.
done in March.
Right.
It just, whoever we select tonight, they only go till March, and then.
Right,
after
I
they
understand
run
that,
for
but
seat.
is it gonna be a 1 year, 2 year, or
It's a
3 year?
2-year seat, I believe, right?
I believe it.
I think, isn't Mark's a 3?
It's either 2 or 3.
3. Mark
Was it 3?
Is it 3?
No, 3 years.
Okay,
So his would be a 3 year coming this March.
yeah, so it'd be 3-year, mine's a 2-year seat.
So that, you know, I'd be a 3 year commitment. So, you know, was that something that you guys were planning on?
I don't think I ever, my name is Nick Brusso, and I'm a lifelong Swanton resident. And I've been around for select board either way. Yeah, I'm running
Right.
either way, and I've run for office in the past, I haven't been afraid to.
Yeah.
Brian would know that.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
I'm playing
What
around.
about you, Cody?
Absolutely. According to my dad, I have a big mouth, so I am definitely planning on running for sure. And I express that and try to get as much advice and feedback from the community as possible, just to see what they're looking for and a selectman, you know.
Steve?
And I think to have, you need longevity in this particular position, and I would be willing to stay on for the next 3-year term so that I could gain that longevity.
One of the questions I had, are there any limitations that may prevent you from serving to a full capacity? I mean, besides meetings, I mean, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into being a select board member.
I'm lucky enough to work at 8 to 4:30 job, so I got my nights available. I work at Vermont Health Connect, so it's done at 4:30, so I don't think I would.
Actually, I am a business owner, and I also work full-time for this Village of Swanton Public Works. But I recently kind of relinquished any kind of responsibilities that I had with the Abenaki community in the Burlington area to be able to focus my concentration locally. So it gave me a nice allotment of time.
I don't have any reason that I couldn't attend meetings. I'm semi-retired and nobody, no children at home.
Anything else? Edited?
I'll start out with Nicholas. Nicholas, if you were on a board, what would your support be for our current situation with the rec department?
Your car situation with the rec department, can you expand on that a little bit? I'm not sure.
Well, of course, as you may or may not be aware, we have, the select board, we put aside $600,000 for improvement to the rec department.
Yep.
And I guess my question is, how do you feel about that? And if you were on the select board, would you be in favor of that?
Yes, I'm a big supporter of I read about it recently a little bit in the Messenger. I'm a big supporter of the $600,000 towards the rec department. I think it'd be a great thing for our community. I like that they're bringing stuff like Zumba classes or whatnot to the community. I think it's a great thing.
Cody?
Yes, because the rec department is one of the only things that we have in our community right now that involves the youth and family members, and if there's any way to support the rec department in a way that could help our community, then to me it seems kind of like a no-brainer.
Thank you.
On the outside.
Steve?
I think the building is conceptually a really good idea. And we're all big supporters of the rec department. But I haven't seen any numbers yet, like operating numbers. What is it gonna cost us to run it? Where's the money gonna come from? Where's the income coming from? But if your question is, would I support that, I support the concept. But I'm not ready to vote on it yet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Just to be clear, the $600,000 is ARPA fund money
Right.
that we're using, so everybody understands that, so. Yeah. Anything else, got any other questions for the candidates? You guys pretty much covered them all. All right, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I move that we enter executive session for the select board to review personal information for which the premature disclosure of it to the general public would clearly place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage.
I'll second it.
All right.
I move that based on the just made findings, the premature disclosure of the select board and others,
Yeah.
we enter executive session.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. We're now at executive session, back in the regular meeting, action taken. Earl, do you wanna go ahead with our action taken?
I guess we can do either way, but
Yep.
probably better to do this first. I just wanna say right off that, this was a very difficult decision for the select board to have to make. Everybody here we feel is qualified in different ways. And we encourage the people, the individuals that don't get selected here tonight to stay involved. There's gonna be 2 seats to run for in March. This one plus another one, so we'd like to encourage you to continue on, because everybody has something they can bring here. But at the present time, you know, we have $1.2 million in ARPA funds coming in. We're looking at some growth in the Southern Growth District, possibly, to work out a way to get that done. There's a lot of things going on right now that our choice for the select board has the most experience in, and that's Steve Bourgeois. We feel he's an asset that would benefit the community right now based on what's going on. Because it's a once in a lifetime thing, as everybody says. But we really appreciate your interest here, and quite frankly, I was shocked that we had 3 people disqualified, 4 actually, disqualified, wanting to participate. There's plenty of room for people to participate. So that's the reason we made the decision we did. And we felt that you guys are so qualified that you deserve an explanation of why we did it. All right?
And I just wanna say too, I expect to see both of your names on the ballot in March, so you're both great candidates.
Absolutely.
And I wanna,
It wasn't an easy decision.
I wanna thank you fellas for coming in and applying for the position.
Yes.
But remember, you were asked that question about March and you all said yes, so we're gonna be,
Hold you to it.
we're gonna be holding you to that.
Absolutely.
But thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
So I entertain a motion to
I'll move
appoint.
that we appoint Steve Bourgeois to finish out the term of March, till March of whatever, 23.
Yeah.
I don't know what the exact date in March is.
That's okay.
Come on up, Steve.
And I will second that.
All right, and we'll do roll call. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
James, aye. Nicole?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right, ayes have it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Steve.
Please.
Thank you.
All right,
Kathy will be in and swear you in here.
she'll swear you in in a second. So we can move on to the chief's report. Come on up, chief.
Basically, it's need to read this part, sign here.
Evening.
Good evening.
How we doing?
Well, how are you?
Living the dream.
Count them up.
Count them off, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
All right, so as far as the report goes this month, you'll see the top 10 incident types. The number 1 incident type was traffic. Number 2 was suspicious persons, 3 was juvenile problems, 4 was simple assault, 5 was motor vehicle complaint, 6 was alarms, 7 was citizen disputes, 8 was citizen assists, 9 was welfare checks, and 10 was 911 hang-ups. There were 45 incidents total, 10 traffic stops, again, a little discrepancy between the summary on the first page versus the actual traffic stops themselves, which are itemized on page 3. Out of those 10 traffic stops, 1 ticket was issued, 9 warnings were issued, and there were 3 arrests. And I believe 2 of these 3 arrests stemmed from the same incident where it was assault on a law enforcement officer resisting arrest. Yes, that was in the news, so, where we were actually assisting DSP. I believe that's the origin of that. The other things I'd like to mention is we have another new hire who's applied, who, if he passes the hiring process, he will bring a great deal of experience to the police department in a part-time position. He's a local guy, extensive military experience, extensive law enforcement experience at both South Burlington, Winooski, and the Burlington Police Department. So heavily involved in training also. And Tack Nelson, so it would be a huge asset. We bring him on. I actually spent the last 2 days dealing with a town problem. Technically, it's just over the line in the village, but one of our problem properties, working with the property manager, and addressing some underlying drug-related issues at that property, and hopefully we'll see some positive outcomes there. But it's definitely taken a lot of my time the last 2 days. And then the other thing that I have is that I hadn't really previously considered, but Town Administrator Savage and I were in an emergency management meeting recently, where they were discussing the rail trail as one of the focuses, and the fact that we really don't have assets as far as getting out on the trail, depending on the circumstances, to perform a rescue or that sort of thing. So it's something I think I may end up looking into in relation to the next Stone Garden detail, because we could probably use, or Stone Garden grant, I should say, because we could use those assets both for Stone Garden and then apply them to rescue when needed.
Fire don't have them side by side? Right
No.
around? No?
No, I don't know.
The rescue?
Yeah.
No.
They use their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, my understanding is a lot of people have access to their own equipment, but it'd be nice to get something that's owned by the police department.
Yeah, it's actually built for the job.
Exactly.
Okay.
Something I would like to address with you, when I was on my way to drop my kids off at school this morning, and I'm just gonna show you the picture. I saw this on the steps of the Swanton Library, which is a town asset. It's appears to be a homeless person sleeping out on the front steps. After talking with the librarian, this person has been there multiple times, even after they've asked them not to be. And then the other thing is suspicious activity happening in their parking lot. Last Friday night, we welcomed 53 teenagers into the building to have a teen night, a safe space for them to be. There was a lot of suspicious activity in the parking lot happening by other people. The librarian has made complaints that there are drug users picking up needles and other contraband in her parking lot. And I would hope that that would be addressed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe you can put that on the patrol, that they take a ride through the library a couple times a night, so.
It's happening during business hours as well.
Yeah, so.
So that's prime daylight hours too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Put it on the radar.
Matt, I still got some concerns here with these warnings being 21 miles an hour over the speed limit, getting a warning. I just don't agree with it. And then you got two of them here, 15 miles an hour over the speed limit, and they're getting a warning.
Yeah, so the one that you mentioned first was my usual suspect, who I've had a couple conversations with. And there are two of my younger officers who have done most of the traffic enforcement indicated on this summary here. So there was a little more that goes into that, but I had a similar discussion with him regarding this specific incident, but I will hand it to him that he did do quite a bit of follow-up, because there was late reported issues. He was able to figure out most likely who the operator of the vehicle was. He took the time to get out on the roadway later on, a few days after the initial report, and actually made this stop. So given the total circumstances, I agree with you certainly that I would prefer enforcement action taken. I think he felt a little sympathy for the young operator who was involved in this incident, and so cut him a break. But I agree with your sentiment.
Another concern that I have, Matt, of course, it was in the village, so it's not, obviously it's not on this report, but on September 22nd, at approximately 8:30 at night, courtesy of the scanner, I heard your officer giving a courtesy ride from Swanton to Lvrt. And I didn't know that we ran a taxi service.
No, we don't. Normally, that's not something, so for example, again, coming from my experience in Burlington, it's not something that we participated in, we did not give courtesy transports. It was only when we gave transports, it was related to a law enforcement specific issue. So that is something I will have to look into.
Well, in this particular case, I can give you a little insight. There was a call that, this female was on Grand Avenue, down by the O2, headed towards Johns Bridge. Somebody was concerned for her safety, and the air officer responded, and the next thing I heard is that he was giving her a courtesy ride to Lvrt. And it just kind of struck me odd that we would be taking the cruiser out of Swanton to go to Lvrt, to give somebody a ride to Lvrt.
Yep, I will have to look into it
I
more.
appreciate that. That's all I got.
Good. Anything else for the chief, anybody? Thank you.
Very much.
Have a good night, Matt.
Yeah.
You as well.
Thank you.
Health officer report.
Nothing to report other than.
She's only been on the job for 2 days,
Right.
and she said a full report.
We do have a new health officer, Amber Fountain. And she will be meeting with me tomorrow morning to go over a few things, and I gotta see if she's got her manual from the state yet.
That's a nice big book.
Yeah.
Plenty of theory, real literature.
I'm sure there is.
I would
so-
gladly give her mine if she wants it, so.
Anyways, we do have a new health officer on board.
Yeah. The only thing I had was the health complaint. I went over it to the Swan Motel for it, resolve the issue, so I told him I'd be back, check on it, make sure it's cleaned out.
Okay.
That's it. Old Town business, public hearing on the Well Valley Rail Trail project. Okay, we've got, what, do we got? I know we've got a few residents out here about it, and,
Well, I guess that
So-
would be,
yeah. Joel is
Joel
spearheading
would be,
this project, if you don't mind me saying that.
No, that's fine.
No,
I'll
okay.
be glad to do a little bit of an overview if you want.
That would be great, and then you guys ask your questions and concerns, and we'll go from there. That way everybody knows what's going on, and
You got any copies of that
Yeah,
plan?
I got it.
Yeah, I got the copies to pass out to the crowd. And then, question for those that are, on the TV here is how many of them are here for this public hearing? Do they have access to the plan?
sure. And folks on Zoom, are you here for the public hearing for the Well Valley Rail Trail parking area?
Yes.
Okay, you got one. Have you seen the map? I think we mailed it out to the close by residents. The project
Yes.
map, okay.
So we're all set as far as the ones on Zoom
I think
have
so, we
access
got-
to what they need?
Cindy, she says she has a copy of it, so.
Okay? And we do
Oh,
actually,
shoot.
Oh, we're all good then.
Oh
Alright.
my God.
okay, so for the board members, you've obviously seen my face here several times talking
Yeah.
about this potential project, and with your approval, we've been moving forward. Tried a few other grant opportunities and did not succeed, but here we have the Lvrt Community Grant Program specific to the Moyle Valley Rail Trail. It's $2 million that was set aside. It is federal money. So we are preparing to apply for a grant. Grant application is due 1 November and award decisions are supposed to be accomplished on 5 December. The max project dollar amount is $300,000. There is a 20% share. It has to be money, it's not in-kind work, so that would be $60,000. We've already talked about it, and I know we're looking at possibly ARPA funds to cover that. So the project itself is basically put in a paved parking area at the western end of the Moyle Valley Rail Trail. It's on Robin Hood Drive. Approximately a half acre is involved. The intent is to go with paved parking. Whether we can get it done within the budget depends how much effort maybe we put in with the town highway crew, but the idea is paved parking. The northernmost end would be, if you look on the map, it'd be 7 spaces with 2 handicap spots. The middle area would be larger parking area, so a truck with a trailer could come in there, and you could possibly get 8. I think it's going to be a little tight for 8, depending today's day and age. People are having some very large snowmobile trailers,
Yeah.
but the intent is to have a spot for trucks and trailers to park there. And then on the southern end, there's nine spaces, so you can total that up. Some of that could get adjusted when we actually go to full design. It may get cut down just a little bit. Another part of the project that would like to have happen, may or may not, is a pavilion and restrooms. There are two possible locations. One is on the eastern side and one is on the western side of the parking lot. That would be determined during design and I think through some input of the select board and the community. Bike rack would be part of the project, a bike repair station, and something we talked about, very important, is signage. Trying to bring out some of the good aspects of Swanton and other opportunities in Swanton with signage, not only at the Lvrt parking area, but other key spots around Swanton. So, I know we talked about it before, we have had wetlands looked at, wetlands have been delineated. And as far as storm permit, because of the size of the project, we should be able to keep it to where we don't have to have a stormwater permit. And basically we are in a position that if the grant gets approved, we can start design and then go into construction after design is complete. Because it's a federal project, there are certain requirements regarding the whole design, selecting an engineering firm, it's going to take a while. So, it's, you know, as far as the timeline, if indeed we found out in December that we were awarded the grant, you know, it's going to take a few months to get an engineer, and it's going to take several months to design, although it's a very simple project. You know, I'd estimate design would not be completed until June, July 2023. Maybe get construction in late fall, maybe not till the spring of 2024. I do think there's things we could do as far as clearing to help cut down on the cost. I also think when I look at the price they have in here for doing the base and the paving, is we could certainly put some base material in or at least deliver it to the successful contractor. That all I think gets determined when and if we get the grant, trying to figure out how much money we get and how best to use it. So the attributes I spoke of is the full project, and if there's less funding, we start taking things away. Also, there would be some site lighting in there. You know, the Lvrt is open to snowmobiles, so time of year in the winter, it gets dark pretty early, there would be some site lighting. That's an overview.
We want to touch on that tree cutting a little bit, just to, so everyone's on the same page, ease their mind that
Yeah, I mean,
we're
there's-
not cutting the trees all the way out to the road on.
Yeah, obviously, you know, Leduc Drive, I think it's Leduc Drive, it's not Avenue, right? Leduc Drive?
Leduc Drive.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Is we would definitely want to leave a buffer there. So that it would help cut down any light. Part of the parking in there would be one way. Try to help minimize the amount of light that goes through the trees and the brush, because in the wintertime, we know that the leaves and the vegetation is gonna let more light in, but we definitely are very sensitive to the idea that we're gonna leave trees and brush in there. It would not be clear cut. And that might make some adjustments on the project to the amount of parking spaces. You know, this design is an iterative process. A successful firm would take this site plan, clean it up even further, propose it to the select board. Select board says, hey, we gotta do this, we gotta do that to adjust it. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's certainly something.
Before I let you guys ask a question, I just got, does select board have anything you want to add?
I'm lost as to where this land is. It's not the old town garage site, is it?
No, it's not.
no,
It's
on Robin
it's on
Hood Drive.
Robin Hood.
Robin Hood
Just
Drive.
as you go past Precision Tools, where the rail trail crosses, it's on that far
Okay.
side.
All right,
Yeah,
thanks.
on the left hand side.
Basically at the end of the rec path,
Yep.
if you go across Robin Hood, it'd be right there on the
Right.
right side of the road.
Owns that house?
It's the state owns it, it's the old railbed property, so.
They actually have completed a lease with us, with the town of Swanton,
So we're
so
leasing
that
it.
it's now property that the town can use for this project.
Okay, thanks.
I'll give you guys a chance to speak, just state your name before you speak, please, for the record.
Alright, so I'm Aaron Hoig. I actually live directly across from the proposed east side bathroom,
Okay.
which is approximately 15 feet from my mailbox. So that being said, there's only 2 trees there that would be blocking, that would have to be removed, because I'm already 10 feet. The trees are 10 feet from the road, so being that there's still only, you would see the driveway, the parking lot, right from my house, right from my front window. So that being said, I have a huge concern, because most of y'all know, parking lots get abused every day. As you heard, library, people are gonna use it as a parking ride.
Yeah.
They're not gonna just use it for the rail trail. I'm a big supporter of the recreation, because I do have children and I know what that does bring to the community. I was a kid too, just like all of you guys, so we know how that all plays out. But there is a epidemic of drug users, and they use parking lots all the time. And I feel like the size of this parking lot, I mean, you're talking 28 parking spaces, 2 bathrooms, in a proposed pavilion, which is not on here. That's all gonna cost the town money. Let's be real about this. You guys gonna have bathrooms, you gotta heat them, you gotta maintain them, you gotta have security for those things. So we're gonna have to have the police department patrolling this pretty strong, because it's in the woods. It's a parking lot in the middle of the woods where these behaviors from these addicts are gonna use. And unfortunately, it's right outside my living room window. So I have a huge concern of the safety of others in our development. It is going to produce a lot of light during the night on my house and my neighbor's house. We already hear the snowmobiles really strongly. They're very loud. I was a kid, I understand that. But it's going to bring more of that into our little development. Like, I moved in because it was a quiet little development. It's turning to not that, unfortunately. But I feel like there's parking lots that already are being used that could be used more. This is not really a need as so much as a want, because everybody wants this. And we've never had it before, so it's technically not a need. And we have to think about the problems on hand. I don't know if you guys read my letter. We do have problems on hand that we have to take care of. I know there's grants for this, but there is going to be costs in the future. You mentioned it yourself about the recreational building. There's going to be costs. We can't lie to the communities and say there's no cost, this is all grants. There's going to be costs. So that is also a concern of mine. We do live in a great community, but I'm just afraid that they're going to use this as a parking ride, not so much for the recreational trail. So we see the abuse at Hannaford parking lot, we see it at the library, we see it at Marble Mill. There are multiple parking lots that get abused every day. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else want to speak?
Aaron covered, my name's Lisa Minier. Aaron covered a lot of the areas. One of my biggest concerns that it's gonna bring more traffic to the already not safe area for children walking to and from school. I've been to this board at least twice, maybe 3 times, to try to get busing on Leduc Drive. This year, we don't even have a crossing guard. You got people that are running the stoplights, or they'll do the stop and go. His son is 11 years old, walking home this tall. And in the wintertime, there's no snowbanks. I mean, there's snowbanks, no sidewalks. So this is gonna add even more traffic with no protection for these kids at that intersection. And that's one of my biggest concerns, along with the drug use, homeless people not sleeping on the library steps, but sleeping in the bathrooms. Is this gonna become a homeless shelter?
Yep.
I believe it's going to be.
Alright.
And I mean, people use that trail, I see people enjoying that trail, they don't need a parking lot. They can park over at the ball field parking lot, ride their bikes up, the trail's right there, and go. There's a bathroom at the ball field. Why do they need a parking lot in a big building for hundreds of thousands of dollars? Put some safety lights at that 3-way, 4-way stop right there before a child gets killed.
Those were supposed to be installed when they put that in. Right, Joe? Right?
That was before my time. I was on the board at that time.
And I get nowheres. I've been to the school board, I've been to the principal. There's no applications for crossing guards. So what do? We keep the kids not safe crossing that road. And in the winter, there's been kids that have had to jump in snowbanks because they can only plow that road. Development is so wide and there's no place to walk. The kids are in the road. But yet they can't put a bus down there for a few little kids.
And that's an argument of the school board, it's not, I mean, the busing is not our
Correct.
responsibility.
But more traffic
Yeah, I
and more.
understand what you're saying.
Right.
And I didn't realize, so somebody just said it recently, they don't even have a crossing guard down there anymore,
Nope.
which is a little insane, but that's just my opinion, but.
Yeah. And people say, well, there's not very many kids. It only takes
That's
one
right.
kid to cross the road. Doesn't have to be a million, but anyways, I'm getting off. I just feel like this whole, why here? When we have a beautiful John Raleigh field that has plenty of parking, there's open the trail up from the ball field and connect it in behind. I mean, that trail goes right behind the old Wayside building where they want to build, I believe, a Swanton Community Center, which is right there by the trail. So why do we need this when we're gonna have a community center where more kids are gonna be riding their bikes to and from?
But the issue is not to argue back and forth.
Right,
It's-
I'm stating.
No, that's okay,
Yeah.
that's fine, the issue is the snowmobilers and people like that can't park at the wreck and ride there because there's none allowed on the paved portion that the town owns. It's only on the
Moore Valley
Rail Trail for
James?
Robin Up, yeah.
Who owns the little wedge that goes on Wall Farm Road and, is that Swanton property or is that privately owned, that little corner where everybody parks and rides their snowmobiles from now?
Yeah, it's not town owned, if there's anything there, it's owned by the state or the abutting property owners.
I'm gonna say, because that's where everybody parks now, currently.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
what
in that-
what
the
is
whole-
the need of, why does the board feel that there's a need for a place for these snowmobiles to
Well,
park in Swanton?
The original idea is because they just spent how many millions of dollars upgrading the Boyle Valley Rail Trail from Robin Hood up through, just to basically connect to St. Johnsbury. So if we don't have any place for these snowmobilers or people to park, they're never gonna come to Swanton and use any of our amenities.
So you're only
Yeah.
providing places for 8 people.
Well, 8's better than none, and just to piggyback back to your parking ride, there is actually a parking ride at the village complex.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
not gonna be used as a parking ride for say, it's gonna be used like for a hidden spot to do the stuff they shouldn't be doing.
But, and I appreciate your opinion, and not arguing with you, but if they're gonna do drugs, they're gonna do them there, they're gonna do over here, they're gonna do down.
Right, but it's just bringing it closer to home,
Yeah.
that's just what we're saying.
I mean, we try to prevent it, I understand it's everywhere, no matter, I don't care what town you go to.
Would you want a snowmobile parking ride 15 feet from your home? So at 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning,
But
we're gonna be listening to snowmobiles?
But what's the difference if they're riding on the trail or they're?
Because
15
they don't
feet?
do that now. You're bringing it to us.
Mhm.
It's not there now. I've never seen a snowmobile on that trail.
Cause that's the end of it, that would be the start of it. So-
Correct. So why make it the start of it, next to a nice development?
Hi, just to repeat, my name is Nick
Yeah.
Bristow, and I'm just throwing out an idea about what, I could be locking the bathrooms at night and maybe saying like a time limit
Yeah.
on like when people can park at the parking lot, maybe like,
Could be an option.
yeah, I think that could have, I don't know, that could limit some of the bad
It could
behaviors.
limit a lot of stuff like the
Yeah.
overnight staying
Mhm.
and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
No.
But,
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
there are fixes, but the problem is it's not really a need, like, I know it's a want. We gotta think about that in life in general.
You wanna speak, sir?
Probably not, but I think she asked you a yes or no question.
I-
Would you want it at your house or not?
I mean, if I lived on the rail trail,
No, yes or no.
that's the way I'm giving you the answer. If I lived on the rail trail, then I would expect it to be able to, somebody if there was gonna park in there to use it.
Okay, but we didn't live on a rail trail?
Right, we did,
You made the rail trail.
right,
Well, it's always been there. the
No,
railbed.
railroad tracks were there.
right.
We didn't make the rail trail either, the state made the rail trail, so.
Okay, so we didn't live next to a rail trail.
Right.
You put it there.
I didn't. we
Same
didn't put
thing.
it there. The state put it there,
Same
let's get
thing.
that clear. We
Same
didn't
thing.
put it there, the state
Same
did.
thing,
It's not the same thing.
yeah, pretty much.
No, it's not. I'm
So-
not gonna sit here and argue with it. The state is the ones that got the grant millions of dollars to build that rail trail. They put it there. We had no say in that.
So now you're gonna,
Yeah.
accommodate them by putting a parking right there?
It's not parking lot, it's parking lot.
Oh, okay. Parking lot? With whose money?
Well, that's, I mean, all the other towns are doing things to accommodate this, the use of this trail, try to bring people to town.
So the state has developed the Lamoille Valley Management Plan, and one of the things that they're hoping to do with the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail is to increase outdoor recreation in rural communities across the state of Vermont. And one of the reasons why I personally feel that promoting the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail is important to Swanton is because it's highlighting some of those outdoor recreational assets that currently aren't being highlighted. Now, I thoroughly understand all of your concerns to why you wouldn't want that here, but just on the premise of bringing people into the community, whether it be snowmobile usage, dog sled usage, there's equestrian, you can use it as an equestrian trail, bikes, walking, any of those things. And this is and one of the reasons why I support a project of a parking area is because it's giving people a one destination to start to enjoy that amenity of the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail. Now, like I said, I completely understand all of your concerns, but I think this could bring further potential for our community to continue to grow and highlight those recreational assets. So that's why we've started this discussion. Now, in the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail Management Plan, they're encouraging communities alongside the trail to build amenities like this to support that growth for outdoor recreation. And this gives people a place to stop relevant to the highway to where they could park their trailer, car, whatever, after using the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail and then continue down the fit and healthy path to the Swanton recreation area, to our downtown, to help promote business and economic growth.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
I think they raised some very valid issues.
Sure.
As far as probably there are a lot of other folks in your development up there that would like to be here tonight and they're not here for whatever reason. Is there anything that we can do to mitigate the concerns they have? I mean, you can shade it with trees or maybe there's a plan for how we would operate that parking area as it relates to the bathrooms so that other folks in your development who have the same concerns might be a little less intimidated by this.
I mean, sure, that's why this is a step in the process so we can hear your concerns, so we can work on addressing things that we can address.
And those things can be, I'll let you speak after, those things can be added to the site plan when we get to that point of the actual.
Yeah, I think neighbor mitigation or noise mitigation is important here. And can I ask, I'm new here, of course, how come we didn't do anything with the Old Town Garage site?
We're still currently working on that. Right now, we're in a state where it's
That'd
some
be a great place
brownfields.
for a parking.
Wait a minute, hold it right there.
No, I'm just curious, because I know the trail can't be used for motorized vehicles from up there, but sometimes things can be changed. Okay, I'm just curious that why it wouldn't have been located down there. Is it because the snowmobiles wouldn't have any way to get to the rail trail?
That was the
And
intention.
the rail trail ends
I know.
right there.
Yeah. Joel had something he wanted to speak about first, you first.
Just one thing, in looking at the site, it won't be hidden once it's cleared out. As far as some management plans to minimize things, we have a police officer that's on every night. It's gonna be driving right to the village offices, this is like a quarter mile away from the village offices. It could be made part of the routine, check that frequently. Due to the overall project cost, one of the things that might get cut right at the beginning is the bathrooms. That's one of the things logically in my mind would be one of the first things offered up if we can't get it all constructed. The pavilion is not a large structure. You know, it'd be something in the order of maybe 15 by 30 feet that you could put a couple picnic tables under. It's not a huge building with closed walls that people can hide in. If you put the bathrooms on the other side, which is shown on that drawing I handed out as another option closer to the road, it's gonna be that much more visibility of the public driving by. So you're gonna help minimize the concern of how close the first site, I know the plan that you originally saw that was sent with a letter just showed the bathrooms up on the eastern side. But I already see that it probably makes more sense to put them on the western side if we even have the funding for it, and that would help get that much larger distance from any of the homes. So there are things that can be done to help minimize the impact. And again, the overall intent is to help try to bring more people to the community and more interest in Swanton and what Swanton has to offer.
Hello?
Here, go ahead.
Oh, Cindy, do you wanna say something?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I believe that that proposed site is gonna be built right across from my home. And that is something I do not want. We have lost so much privacy where we live. When I first built my house, this was such a nice place to live. And the town has done nothing but lie to us as residents about this Robin Hood Drive and the extension. They told us that the extension would never go through without our voter approval. And guess what? It was never brought up in front of the voters. I am very against this. Very against it. I see the stuff that goes on Robin Hood Drive. There was not supposed to be any tractor trailer trucks. It's used by tractor trailer trucks multiple times a day. There's just way too much traffic on this road. I think there's other options, like closer to Vermont Precision Tools or the Old Town Garage site. Those would be excellent locations, not here in front of our house, losing all our trees and all our privacy. No, I'm not for it at all.
All right, thank you for your opinion. Lisa has a question first. You have any other-
I don't have a question or a comment regarding, he said that the police will be there to, keep it on. They're village police, they don't do town, we have to call the state police.
Hold on a minute, we contract with the town.
Since when? Because I called the
The
Swanton.
towns for, give me 1 second, so we contract with the town for coverage from 5 o'clock in the afternoon to 1 o'clock in the morning, 7 days a week.
Because I called last summer, there were goings on over in the parking lot behind Vermont Precision Tools. They had quite the party going over there, and they told me I needed to call the state police.
It depends what time of day you call.
It was like midnight.
Yeah,
Then they should have covered
they
it.
should have covered it.
Town should have covered it.
They're on, so you know, they're on from 5 o'clock in the afternoon to 1 o'clock in the morning. We have one officer from town.
And then bouncing off what Cindy said about the traffic on Robin Hood Drive,
So,
it's getting as bad as First Street. That's a busy street.
but the intention, the whole Robin Hood thing was done before I was on the board.
Correct.
I think we finished the last leg of it. That was the only part I was on the board for. But the intention of that road is for truck traffic. That was the whole intention of it.
Right.
to get it out of the village to go around. So to say it's not a truck route, that was the whole intention of that road to be built, to get the
But-
trucks out of it.
Jeff had said that there was supposed to be lights and stuff, and how come it was never finished?
I don't know anything about the lights.
Brian, do you know?
Crossing
No, I
lights.
don't.
What's that?
The crossing lights, like you have downtown here,
Oh, the crossing
Yeah.
lights.
that was supposed to be installed.
Yeah. I don't know anything about it, but we can certainly look into it.
I'd appreciate that because,
Yeah.
like I said, this no crossing guard and, you know, I don't have any children anymore walking there, but I do walk with the daycare children at times and, you know, it'd be nice to have a crossing guard or at least the button to push to cross the road.
That was supposed to be installed, that's part.
Well, I can look into that, we certainly will on that part.
Thank
What
you.
about the location of the Old Town Dump, which is now the village?
That's a village property, yeah.
You can't put it there,
Has it been brought up?
It hasn't been brought
it's
up.
right there, right there.
This was selected because it's the state-owned property as well as the rail trail is, the state owns it. So this portion of property is still owned by the state. Cause this is where the little radius is used to
And
go
this is
in.
the only state-owned property that this could have went?
Yes, that would fit in there, yeah.
Would the state be the one maintaining it if it get put in, or would the town?
No, the state wouldn't maintain it, the town would have to plow it and stuff like that, maintain it.
And like the bathrooms and stuff, we would have to supply somebody ourselves to.
So do you have a total budget for this project?
Joel, we have a rough number.
Rough number is approximately 400,000.
Yeah.
But that depends how much, if we put our own labor in or not, that number can get reduced.
But that's taking into consideration a paved parking lot, lights, 2 bathrooms, a pavilion, that's everything in that number. That's a lot of stuff. And it doesn't mean that that's all gonna happen, it all depends on the funding.
And I think another reason for this site is the idea that we want people that are gonna bike and maybe walk, to also walk our own fitness path into town, into the museum, etc., and then maybe to downtown. It's not just for snowmobilers. There's a lot of people who use that path year round, and it gives a lot of flexibility.
And what's the total upkeep gonna be per year?
I don't have
We
that.
should know this before, if the taxpayers are gonna pay for all this, right? That's where you're getting your money from, right?
Part of it is gonna depend on how much of this gets funded.
Yeah.
You don't have to clean bathrooms if you don't have bathrooms funded.
But I think you gotta give a worst case scenario, or a best case scenario, depending on which side you're on. So that way when it's presented to the board, they can say, well, you have to put away another $60,000 or $80,000 a year to maintain that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
That's fair, I mean, that's up to the board, if they want me
Yeah.
to give them an estimate, I'm doing this
Yeah.
No,
Milly Willy for the board.
To do this.
Gotcha.
If they want me to, help them to prepare that, from my experience of being on the select board, as far as snow plowing, it's a very small area that can be done after everything else is accomplished, and very little additional cost to the taxpayer. The bathrooms, yes, there will be some time related to the bathroom.
I mean, the lawn mower, we already mowed the lawn down there, we already plowed down there, so it's not
I
any
mean-
different, that's not a big
So
deal.
water and sewer are gonna be free then?
That's
I don't
assuming if
know.
bathrooms
Yeah,
are there,
assuming
there would
that.
be a cost.
And like, what if somebody goes in there and makes a mess, like vomits or whatever? Like, how many times a day is somebody gonna go in and look after those bathrooms? I mean, like, when you have a road stop or a, rest area, there's somebody right there 24/7, or there gonna be somebody there 24/7 maintaining the
No.
health and safety of the bathrooms?
Not for 2 bathrooms.
Right, that's what we're saying, like, it's gonna be forgotten. Like, people are gonna forget it's there, and they're gonna walk in, they're gonna like, this is disgusting. That's gonna bring what kind of, figure to your community?
And I'm gonna be honest with you, if we go down that road and put a bathroom in there, there's gonna have to be a plan, how it's gonna be cleaned and maintained and all that stuff. And we're not just gonna build it and say, oh crap, 2 months from now, oh, no one cleaned the bathroom, no.
And do a lot of places
We're
that
gonna have a
that's
plan.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And now, will this be like a gated area, so like a certain hour at night, this is locked?
it wasn't part of the plan, I don't think it would be necessary to lock it, I mean, there'll be rules, I would say on the sign, if there's another parking lot, it's open from certain hours a day, after that, then they're gonna get towed. You know, if they're not following by the rules.
I'm just wondering if the snowmobiles will have to follow like the noise ordinance.
Well, they have to legally anyway. 'cause
Yeah.
it's full registration.
So,
I-
yeah, what's that? Oh, Cody, sorry, I couldn't see you behind the chair there, sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
chair.
Put your hand up higher. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that the noise mitigation would be a huge thing, as well as like a site mitigation for the
Yeah.
homeowners. I think that's obviously something to take in consideration, but I just, man, I don't follow because I don't live in the development, but I just know from experience, like I'm an avid snowmobiler, and like I actually go outside of Vermont to go snowmobiling because there's nowhere else to do it around here. And one of the places that I go is like in northern New Hampshire, and that small little community that was like gonna be buried is now booming because which doesn't really help your case because of the noises like this, but as far as like economically, it blew up this little town and it brought a ton of money to it.
But I grew up riding four-wheelers, ATVs, and stuff like that, so I understand that, because that's the reason why I stopped riding here, is because there was nowhere to ride. But the problem is like, a lot of these places that you're seeing booming, they're putting parking lots next to gas stations, where people can pull up, park the car, filling up with gas, they're spending money, and putting them next to hotels where they can actually use the facilities. They're not putting them in the middle of nowheres where there's nothing for these guys. There's nothing, literally nothing for these guys right where they're
Yeah, it's
suggesting.
a quarter mile down the street, the gas stations and the grocery stores.
They're not gonna ride their snowmobile to the gas station. They gotta get it back on the trailer, they gotta ride it all
the trail
the
to there, who knows?
I mean, you gotta
That's
think
an
about
option.
it, like, this is what realistically, that's why these towns are booming. They think about where they're putting these things.
And that's the whole purpose of building this, to bring people.
And I understand
to
that,
Swanton.
I understand
Yeah.
like, what you guys are trying to do,
Yeah.
because it's great, like I said, I grew up riding ATVs. I stopped because there was nothing like this. But the problem is like, when I rode to Sheldon had, the rail trail was right next to the gas station. That's why that gas station did so well, because it was right next to the trail. Like, if you actually brought up the parking up by Sunoco or the mobile station where they can just wheel in and they're not causing any trouble,
But the
it's,
problem is that those areas aren't available to do something like this. So I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer. If we build a parking lot there, I'm sure Vass is gonna make a trail across those private properties to get to the gas stations for their snowmobilers. And they do it anywhere else.
but, and if they could just like downsize the parking lot so it's not literally like 15 feet from Leduc Drive, that'd be also great, because it doesn't need to be 28 parking spots, because you're gonna have only 4 or 5 trailers there at a time. I mean, let's be honest
Yeah,
here.
who knows? I don't know that.
So like, start somewhere.
Yeah.
Don't go all
And
in.
it's just nothing saying that when we get to the preliminary actual plan of it, that we don't put a hedgerow in there, a row of cedars or something.
Well, we've
to-
already,
to-
we've
to buffer.
already dealt with the hedgerow
I
thing
don't,
that is.
don't
They're all
know.
dead.
We've already been down that road, so. Unfortunately. I know what you're saying. I've been through, I just drove to Florida, and when they build stuff like this, down in other states, they have nice barriers.
Yeah.
So that way people aren't getting that. And that's what he was just saying, like, you could do something like that, but it's probably not in the plans. 'Cause it
How much of a
needs-
border is in the plans?
What you see here with the 15 feet, until a survey is actually done there, that, you're saying is it's not from the edge of the road, that 15 feet. The road itself is gonna have another 10 or so feet, depending on the right of way of the road. So,
So this line here is not the road. This is not,
no,
this
it's
is
not
not
the road.
Leduc Drive.
No.
I think that's. his
That would,
edge of
that's
the
probably
road,
the edge
right?
of the easement for the road, which is probably a 50-foot easement, so you
I
got
don't
about.
think it's a 50, I think it's like
Well,
a 30.
There's not that much
Well,
room
that's
there.
what I'm saying, I can check that, but see what I, really, this is not a full,
This isn't very clear, I mean,
this is not a full survey, and that's
No.
why, what I mentioned earlier, when James asked me to talk about the trees, is we could take a look at when we get, this is a concept plan, so when you start out on something like this, you don't spend all your money on a full design. When this gets all surveyed and they come in and they present to the select board something similar to this, they could cut back on several of those parking spaces to make sure there's an adequate buffer there of trees. You know, I can see easily 20 to 30 feet of that wood line stand.
There is a trail that is
Yeah,
there.
yes, yeah.
And it actually shows on your little map right here, and it's not far from it's
right there.
It's right there.
which one are,
This one right here. This one goes, this is the old rail trail that
Okay.
shot down. towards-
You're-
where the water
So
is?
you're looking at this map, and which I know that your road is on this side of this
Correct,
here, and your houses are on the other side of that road.
correct.
Okay. So they're a lot farther than 15 feet from the parking lot, is where I'm going with
No, my
this.
mailbox,
Your mailbox is, yeah.
literally so if you actually look,
Yeah.
there's only a few trees there, is what I'm saying, so that if you remove any, there's, in the wintertime, I see straight through. I can see Robin Hood Drive in the wintertime, I mean.
How come, I know the bathrooms aren't a definite thing, but how come like a porta potty service isn't?
It was an option, that is an option too, we talked about. Yeah. If if we didn't have the funds for that, we could just put a pad in for a porta potty, it is an option. Like I say, it's not set in stone that we're building, I've got 2 bathrooms there, that may be the simpler solution, I don't have that answer today.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead,
On Sue Day.
yeah.
Well, why, I think I'm really confused now. Why would you wanna cut any trees until you know what size everything's gonna be? If there's gonna be a bathroom, if there's
We're
gonna be.
not cutting any trees.
That's what it said in our letter.
Right.
We want you to be aware that we plan on cutting trees once this is laid out and we understand what we're gonna, exactly where it's gonna be and what we're doing, where the wetlands is.
When do you?
Okay, I think I read my letter to say,
Yeah.
sorry, that we're gonna cut trees when our guys have time to do it.
Yes,
So,
as early as next week, wasn't it, or?
maybe I'm confused.
That might,
No.
that might, be true, but it wouldn't be cut in that, buffer area. Nothing in that first 15 feet, and maybe we, like Joel says, we're not quite sure where that's gonna be, but maybe we should move that back to 25 feet. And it may very well be 25 or 30 feet when it gets all said and done anyways, we don't know, cause you're
And that's
playing
why-
here and it ain't been surveyed
No
out.
matter what you say, it's still going
Oh, it's going in, I never knew that, but.
in. They don't care.
What's that?
I said, so no matter what we say, it's going there, no matter what we say, and you don't care.
I didn't see that.
It's going in, right?
Is it gonna be voted on? Like,
We don't have to put it up to vote.
oh, you don't? Oh, okay. Even though it may become taxpayers paying to maintain it, that's not a vote, we don't need to vote on that?
Didn't say you didn't have to, but it doesn't, we don't have to put it up to vote. But if we feel it's necessary, we will.
If we're using taxpayers' dollars, yes, if it's
Yes.
gonna be ARPA funds and grants, no.
Well, harbor funds and grants aren't gonna pay for maintenance.
No,
of
that's true,
toilets.
it'll end up getting rolled into the budget, you're absolutely right. But
Correct.
part of this discussion also, you gotta consider that this Memorial Valley Rail Trail is there, it's gonna be there, and something's gonna happen whether we do anything or not.
Well,
I'm
I'm
glad
not
you're here
saying-
tonight to bring up these
I'm not saying I'm
concerns,
totally
but,
against the project, I haven't said that all evening, but I want it to make sense, I want our homes, our privacy, traffic, safety, there's a lot that goes around, this could be done and done right. Move it up further.
fair enough.
I mean,
What I'm gonna suggest is that I think we should do a site visit. I really do. I'd like to exactly see what that area looks like. What's there now for vegetation and everything else.
There's
And
a lot
rough
of, there's a lot of down trees, there's a lot of mess along that, inside of that roadway. More than you can even imagine.
Joel, you wanted something?
Yes, that letter, and I think the intent of the letter is as you speak. It was given a heads up that we might do clearing. What we would not be doing is clearing all the way over to Leduc Drive. One of the things I look at when I walked it, and I walked it again today, is maybe getting some agreement as we don't cut past where the actual spur, where the crushed stone is right now. If we had an opportunity to remove material to the north, of where, you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah, the old rail trail.
The old one.
The old spur.
Yeah.
If we had an opportunity to go in and cut some trees, because we've got the wetlands delineated, is to leave everything on the south side of the spur until we get design going. And that would come after a walk, I agree with you, that would come after
Yeah,
a walk.
I think we really need to do that, and, you know, I'd like to schedule one tonight.
Can you put it on the other side of the rail trail?
You can't.
Yeah.
That was
It was the
the
first
initial
option.
intent. And wetlands, we had the state wetland individual come in and walk that whole thing, because that was what we first proposed. You got the two spurs, one on the north, one on the south, and the wetlands and the mountain there, it's a showstopper. That's where we wanted to put it.
Alright. What do you propose, Earl? We have a site visit,
Well, it gets so dark early at night, doing it before a meeting would be almost impossible.
Yeah.
Well,
if we did it before our next meeting or something, we probably gotta post it for 30 days, right? Yeah, I mean.
No, it'd be
Yeah.
a meeting.
Yeah, it'll be a meeting, so.
Just a meeting.
So
I mean, we can do it before, I'm looking at the wrong calendar, but our next meeting.
Yeah, you get
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness,
oh
the
my God.
the months are flying by too fast.
So our next meeting's on the 18th. So if we did a site visit at 6 o'clock,
it'd be dark.
no.
well,
Oh, yeah, a couple of weeks, eh?
Yeah, probably will be. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying, it's gonna be hard to, I mean, we could do it earlier, but then we, you know, I don't know if we can make a special time just to go there, even if everybody couldn't be there, but I wanna make sure that the residents are there,
Mhm.
you know?
Yep.
And Joel can be there, because you got a better idea than any of us of where the boundary is. I mean, we could try it if you want to try it at 4 o'clock, but then what, you know, I'll have to go home and come back.
Yeah, that makes no sense, we'll have to do it on another day.
Unless we just do an earlier meeting.
What?
Yeah, we could do it earlier
We
meeting.
could do an earlier meeting
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah, we could do
7, you
that.
could go do your site visit and then come to the meeting.
Well, what if we did a
Start the
site
meeting
visit?
at 6 o'clock?
What if we did a site visit at
Yeah.
5 o'clock and started a meeting at 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
On the 18th?
That seem
That's
reasonable,
all,
daylight wise?
Most
I'm
of
home
you.
at 3 o'clock, so.
I just read that.
I can make the 18th as well.
Okay.
So, 18.
And you folks can make anybody else in your neighborhood
5 PM.
that
Will you
has an
be there on
interest in
the
being there, let them know.
Unfortunately, one of my neighbors is, she's handicapped, she's in a wheelchair, so she won't be able to come over, so.
I mean, is there any other neighbors there in the neighborhood that you think would wanna attend?
I'm sure I can find out.
Okay.
Well, we have a couple on Zoom too, but they're
Yes.
aware of this and they're, you know, you're invited.
Okay. That's what we'll do then. So, everyone's on the same page. Thank you all for your opinions and answers and questions and. Alright, thank you,
So
Joel.
when is the meeting gonna be?
It'll be on the 18th of October at 5 o'clock and we'll meet, right on Robin Hood, right there, where it's proposed to be at the railhead.
And what day of the week is that?
It's on a Tuesday
Tuesday.
at 5 o'clock.
Good.
Alright?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
one last thing, and
Yeah.
you can decide whether you wanna do it tonight.
We could still do it on the 18th and meet the deadlines for submission as letter of support for the project. source of the 20% matching fund.
Yep.
And then the issue of further maintenance would all have to be addressed in that letter. That needs to be part of the package for.
Yeah. When you need it by?
The package needs to be in by 1 November.
Okay.
So there is time on the 18th, but I just wanna
Yeah,
make,
we
I
can
wanna make
vote
sure
on the
we.
18th then. We'll do it
Okay.
on the 18th, make that decision, so. Okay. Town surplus property update?
Yeah, just quickly, that's the property on First Street that we own.
Oh, okay.
I did
Yep.
meet with the superintendent of schools and
Yep.
their director of buildings and grounds
Yep.
last week.
Excuse me, was there already a grant submitted? Did you say that, or?
No,
Oh, okay,
No.
so there hasn't been one
not
already?
yet, we're working on one.
Okay.
No, we have submitted 2 grants
Yeah.
applications, but have not gotten them. Now we're going for one specifically for the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail.
Oh, okay,
We
All right.
didn't take action.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye, Lisa.
As you were
Hi.
saying.
Okay.
You don't have to leave.
The, so we met, and, well, the school is not interested in buying it, because they have other projects that probably are gonna be forthcoming. However, I did advise them that their road is on our property now, and
Yeah.
it's the batting cage. So they were gonna take it to their, buildings committee.
Yeah.
And I threw out do a boundary line adjustment, indicating to them that we would, they're gonna probably have some legal fee that they're gonna have to pay.
Oh, yeah.
And, as well as a little bit of engineering work to be done. And she's gonna get back to me. So that's where that is at this point, and I'm trying to get the other individuals, trying to get.
How many acres is that, Brian?
5 acres.
So just so you know, it's, yeah, I don't know if Ed told you, it's about 5 acres of land that we purchased at tax sale as
I
a
know.
landlocked piece of property behind our town garage that's butts against MBU. So we opted to have it surveyed, so we actually knew where the land lay. So after we surveyed the land, we found out that this high school's road that comes off, frontage road goes right across the side of that property. They put a road on the property.
Their cross-country trail is on that property, and it's a nice trail, they would still like to continue to use that, and I said, well, up to this board, we probably can allow them to use that.
Yeah,
So
we're
we're not
selling that property.
No, we're gonna do a boundary line adjustment.
Yeah, but if we wanted to get the whole thing off the books.
Right.
Every bit, but, cause the other property that's gonna be left over after you do boundary line adjustment for MBU is not gonna be taxed to our property, our town garage.
No, it's still.
So it's still, it's kinda useless.
We have to talk to the other individual.
Would they be interested?
But there's
in-
there's other options too, they may be able to, if the school doesn't wanna buy it, maybe if we swap that piece of property, they say, you know what, then you're gonna have to give us a right of way on that road to that property. You know, that's another option too.
Right.
Well, we weren't selling it, we were just trying to get our costs back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and my theory was, is there's another property owner between the school and our town garage, that maybe we could barter an acre or two to give us more room in our town garage, and just swap the extra land with that neighbor out back and give them more land.
That's right.
So, you get a win-win for us, cause we only have like an acre at the town garage, not all of them, so.
The other property. What's that? The Brown brothers on the other property.
Yeah.
So
All right.
anyways,
We're all good on
that's
that.
Revolving loan fund is a brief update. On the 18th, we're gonna have one of 2 public hearings. This one would be on to close out the grant. And we have to close out the grant before we can actually start working on the revolving loan fund. And I'm tweaking the application on that, so that, as well.
Okay.
So it'll be a little bit of a delay there. That's what I got.
All right. New town business, Lake Champlain Housing Forgiveness, page 7.
Okay, and I think Amy.
We got somebody on Zoom for that?
Yeah, Amy, and there she is. Hi, Amy, from Champlain Housing, is with us on Zoom to answer any questions. There's a letter from Amy in your packet. This loan goes back 30 years. And it's coming due, but, and the letter is pretty self-explanatory, but their initial request was for us to entertain an extension loan for another 30 years, but given the age of the loan and whatnot, they're looking for forgiveness on this, and that their letter spells that out. And Amy is here to answer any questions, and leave it up to you.
Amy, do you wanna add anything to this?
I'll just say, this was a loan back in 1992 for the purchase of what's now called Sunset Terrace Mobile Home Park. We've been operating that for 30 years. We charge very affordable rents. We actually operate the property at a loss. We recently had to replace the water system for the neighborhood, and so we have that debt payment to make. We've just more recently, over the last year or so, received better guidance from the state who administers that grant program. And it was actually after a conversation with Cassie Bell from the program, where she suggested that this really should get forgiven rather than deferred for another 30 years, because it is so old and because the property is going to continue to be maintained as affordable housing. But I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have a guarantee that it will be maintained as affordable housing?
There are there's other funding on the property that has affordability covenants that will require that it be always maintained as affordable housing.
And you will be the general manager. Champlain Housing will continue to manage it.
It's our intention to keep that property in perpetuity unless sometimes residents band together and create a co-op. And if they wanted to create a co-op, we would definitely entertain transferring the property to the actual residents there. But they would still need to maintain the affordability. That's not in the works right now, but I'm just saying, in the future, if that were to happen, we would certainly encourage that even. We really appreciate when residents have more control over their housing.
I have a question, you probably don't have the answer, but this loan's been out there for 30 years. How come there was never any intention to pay or effort to pay any of it back?
It really is, it goes back to the way affordable housing is financed. So this is federal money that comes to the state to support affordable housing. And especially in the 90s, there was tax reasons that it needed to be put into the deal as a loan. But really the expectation was that as long as it was going to be maintained as affordable housing, it wasn't a loan that was going to be paid back.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was the answer. And it just refreshed my memory. I heard you say about the water system. Wasn't there something a couple of years ago you guys came to us about, and I think it was that water system, that you got a grant to repair the water system or something? I know we had to do something to do with this loan. I remember that.
That's right, you did. Good memory.
Yeah.
We needed to replace the water system, and so we were able to go to USDA Rural Development and get a loan from them. I can't remember the exact amount of that, but it was over $100,000. And so they needed to be in first position on the property. So you all subordinated this loan to that new loan.
Yep, that's what I recall.
Yeah.
We were first lien holders on the property, basically, is what it was.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you mentioned down the road, if the homeowners down there wanted to do a co-op and buy the park themselves, is that something, if that ever happened, they'd have to come to the select board for some kind of approval to buy that, or is that just nothing to do with us and do as they go?
No, I don't think that they would need to go to the select board about that. No, they would certainly need to go to the Vermont Housing Conservation Board, the Vermont Community Development Program, but all of those organizations really encourage that and would want to support that if the residents were able to organize in that way. Again, it's not on the horizon. We don't have there hasn't been any indication that they want to do that or are able to do that. But if that became an idea amongst the residents, we would certainly support that.
Is the park at capacity now?
It is. We have 17 homes there,
Oh, well, that's that many,
Yeah.
yeah.
so it's a small park, but it's at capacity.
Well, I don't see the sense of renewing this for another 30 years. Payment's never gonna get made on it, so it hasn't got made in 30 years. I don't think it's gonna get made in 60 years. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but,
Well, I think they're requesting forgiveness in this particular letter.
yes. And that's why I'm saying it that way, that it's not, there was never really an intention of paying it back. It was more of a grant type loan, whatever you wanna call it, than an actual loan.
I make a motion that we forgive this loan.
Alright. Someone wanna second that?
I'll second it.
Alright. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
And one further thing.
Thank you very much.
There's, I've got the, from the state, I've got the outline of what I need to do.
Okay.
And do this, so I'd like authorization to sign what needs to be signed.
Someone make a motion to authorize Brian to
I make a
sign the
motion.
paperwork to do with this.
I make a motion to authorize Brian to sign the necessary paperwork in regards to this particular loan.
Second.
Yeah, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Just one thing,
Yep.
Amy. You know, we like helping you guys out, but we might need some help in the future on projects too. So,
Very much, we're always open to those conversations. Please be in touch.
all right, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Have a good night.
She was our lead person when we put the project together at the old school over here.
Oh, okay. Yep.
She's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, good. Alright. Got that. Set beautification proposal is on page 8. Something tells me this is Hank.
Yeah.
How you doing, Hank?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Thank you for giving us a few minutes. I won't take a lot of your time
Sure.
because
You wanna sit here? Come right up.
I think I would like to
Yeah,
sit.
go right ahead. Take a seat.
But, you have a lot on your agenda. But you've read the proposal, you know what we're after. For our volunteers, about 8 or 9 of us on any given year have done the early work for the past 7 years to beautify the community, the core of the community particularly, with flowers, trees, shrubs. We planted 17 trees in the last 17 years, street side. And what we're looking for in this proposal is a 7-year plan, and you have it in front of you to continue that effort. And what we're asking of you and the village trustees is a commitment to a 7-year effort to make Swanton an even more beautiful community. People express this all the time, what a town, what a community we live in, and how great it is. And this would make it that much more appealing, not only to those who live here and our children and the parks and so on, but visitors. In 2018, we put out a survey to 1,100 residents, and over 400 of them replied and gave high rankings to the appearance of the community. The park, the village green is fantastic, the swans, the flowers, the trees. And one of the things we're committed to, our little committee, and hopefully we'll be getting more volunteers, is to raise $5,000 a year beginning next year in that effort. So what we're asking for is a commitment to beauty and pride in our community. And key to that effort is contracting. We're recommending a contractor. You may think differently about hiring somebody, but contracting somebody who has experience in horticulture to take over for a half-time job for 6 months. And we've got a budget laid out. And the question, of course, that in your minds, I would think, is how do we pay for this, and what's the town going to be involved?
And we saw a joint meeting the other night, and that warmed my heart to see you all getting together frequently, I hope, to discuss things of this nature and to come to a meeting of the minds. We're kind of confused. I think most people, if they really look at it, confused about who owns what park belongs to whom, and so on. And what we're suggesting is take a hard look, and maybe Brian and Reggie could start the conversation amongst themselves and put aside ownership of lands, who owns what, and put all our parks and recreation into maybe a Parks and Recreation Committee that would take all of this, the beautification, the management of the parks. Veterans Park needs a boost, a hard look, and others. So that's it, and I'd be glad to try to answer any questions.
You had it pretty well laid out here for us, so.
So you know where you're gonna plant all these trees?
Well, the idea is to focus on the entrances to the core of the community. First Street, Canada, and Spring Street, and all the others, and start there. And it would mean, First Street, for example, does not have a great wide greenway, so we probably can't plant a whole lot on the greenway. So we may have to negotiate with a landowner to make that work. And we can develop a little agreement of maintenance and so on. But the others, the tree, you've seen pictures of the old days when we had beautiful elms arching over the roads.
I even remember that, I'm old enough.
Yeah. I was town manager in Manchester many years ago, and we had a program of planting trees. And over 40 years later now, I go back there and you see these magnificent trees on our streets, and that's the sort of thing Swanton could be proud of, in addition to flowers and plantings.
Did you have any particular plans for the downtown area?
Well, nothing particular. This is kind of broad. We're focusing first on the roadways into town, and this person that we hope to contract with would take the lead on talking with landowners to encourage them, and business owners, encourage them to plant flowers and so on. The idea, I think, would be to start in the core and move out on those roadways.
Well, something for us to discuss in our next joint meeting, and something to discuss at budget time.
You haven't discussed this with the village yet?
Yeah, I was at the village trustees meeting last night.
Okay.
And
what was their reception to this?
They're pretty positive. They'd like to see things happen. It always comes down, of course, as you know, to funding and how do we make it work. It's a great idea. There are a lot of great ideas that come to this table.
Yeah.
The trouble or the challenge is to find funding.
Any questions, Steve?
Yeah.
Done a good job so far.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, everybody good?
I like the idea.
Okay.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
all
you.
your hard work to
Yeah,
make Swanton
thank
more
you.
beautiful
Yeah.
place.
Definitely say the same
Okay.
thing, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hank, have a good night.
Good night.
Gathering of the Realms, 2023,
Right, as you
recall that.
right, and they had to postpone due to lack of volunteers, so they
Yep.
set dates for 2023, and they just like to get the okay.
And Janet is here to talk about it more.
Actually, pardon me?
Good evening, everyone.
It's like
I've been hiding in the shadows.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So she's here to answer any questions, if anybody's got any.
The only question I got, she wanted to do it in the same place you wanted it before, right, the recreation field?
Correct.
Yeah, and everything,
Yes.
you're coordinating with the recreation department?
Yes. I, as putting on my other hat, you know, this could be an event that could put us on the map. It's not something that's happening here, or locally at all. And, you know, the startings of the plan that they were working on, I think they put a lot of time and effort in, and with even more time behind them, it could be, you know, could be a really successful event.
So same conditions?
Same conditions as last time, the security and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she'll be working with, well, Reg is gonna be retired.
Yeah.
But she will, his replacement.
He'll still be around,
Still
rumors have it, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
so we'll be.
So we have to make a motion to approve?
Yeah.
Approve those dates.
Yes.
Be in order.
And I'll move that we approve the dates for the round.
Second.
And make sure he gets, the dates in here. Or I would
Friday, September 8th, and expected to be removed by Monday, September 11th of 2023. But those are, alright. You made a motion, Earl?
Yes, I
Get a second?
Yeah, I
Get a
second.
second, alright, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed have it, ayes have it, sorry. It's getting late. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I thank you very much, and looking forward to having a great week for you that day.
Yeah, I was disappointed you didn't do it this year.
There was a lot of mitigating circumstances beyond my control. We've overcome them, and it's gonna be a magical year coming up, I promise.
There we go.
Okay.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Cody, you have a question?
What is it?
It's a Ren fair. Renaissance fair, medieval Renaissance.
Medieval Renaissance type
Is
thing.
it like LARP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to talk.
You know where I am.
Alright, community economic development, do we have anything on that tonight?
Other than the latest new business to open up on Merchants Row, open Sunday, and that's Divine Treasures. I have not had an opportunity to get in there yet, but I hope to get there tomorrow, Thursday at the latest. I understand that they've got a lot of stuff in there, and so we certainly welcome them to the community and wish them well. And that's what we've got there. Also, I did speak with John Barrett, I think it was after the last meeting, was that his building is officially for rent now. It's
Okay.
open, it's, Bourne has moved to their location in Milton, and so there we have that, it's 5,000 square feet, space available there. And Gordon and Deb Winters received a grant in the downtown program, tax credit program for, and renovations are certainly going full speed ahead by the looks of things on the old theater building, so that's taking shape. So that's what I've got. Earl, you got anything?
Just, we're gonna have executive session.
We can.
We can at the end if we need to.
Yeah,
Real
it's just,
estate.
because I read that, I shouldn't be saying it publicly.
No,
Okay.
we've talked about that after the real estate issue.
Also, the Swanton Enhancement Project Community and Economic Development Task Force have been working on some things for our local businesses. There will be a small business raffle for Small Business Saturday coming up in November, which was really successful last year. And we're also working on a business networking group in addition to helping the chamber continue to integrate business in the community.
Alright. Now we'll go to that, economic development. Highway, BB Road, hopefully in the next 2 weeks.
I hope so.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Kevin get out from again this week, but they said, when were they doing the rail crossing, the 20th or something?
The 20th,
They
yeah.
promised us it would be
Yeah.
done, they'd be gone before then, so.
So, yeah, and then,
Yeah.
well, yeah, and then I was thinking of that when I left yesterday,
Yeah.
McQuam Shore,
Yeah.
was, there's gonna be some more detouring there, and,
Yeah.
but that may be later, so. we should
Where's
be
the
on.
culvert going along the shore?
past, before the James Road. You
Oh,
go
okay.
past,
Yeah.
you can't miss it when you're driving.
Oh, that's where the bump is?
Yeah.
Right there.
That was the summer surprise you had in the highway department this year.
Yeah. Emergency repair. Yeah, you just had a meeting yesterday
Yeah.
in Calm Shore with the residents that are ordering that
Yeah,
culvert.
and everybody was.
All's good with that.
Seems to be good, and,
Alright.
and the easements will all be done and in place and recorded, hopefully by the end of next week.
Yeah.
And we're just waiting on, the culvert.
Yeah, and the paving project, that's the last one, is BB Road waiting on
DB
getting
road,
paved, so.
yeah. And I did
Yeah.
submit the $121,121 payment from the state for the culvert on the BB road, but I haven't heard anything. They haven't asked for any more, so it must be in process, so,
You'd hear if they needed anything.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yep, sure.
As a result of that meeting yesterday, I
Yeah.
didn't make it, but I spoke to the homeowners, and then today I was in the post office, I gave them a heads up, and I gave them your phone number.
Oh, okay.
Just,
Yeah.
still waiting on the date of the culvert and all that,
Yeah.
but that's
Right,
gonna
but,
be a little
yeah.
challenge for them, so.
Yeah, we have to notify them, the school bus company,
Oh, yeah, rescue everything.
everybody, yeah, so.
Yeah.
That, but we wanna make sure of the date before we get everybody out.
Absolutely.
There we go, but, okay, well, thanks on that.
Yeah, perfect, thank you. They're gonna line strike the Bushy Road this week.
Okay.
We had somebody left in our striping budget, and apparently the state's not striking that road this year, thanks to them, so. I figured with the amount of travel we have on that road, it needs to have some stripes on it, so. Request from Bobby Bump to have a street light installed at the intersection of Longshore and James Road.
Okay, he made that request, you've got the email. I did get a cost from the village. To make it ready to put a light on there, or to add the light, the cost would be $95, and it's $3.95 a month added to our street light bill.
Can you say that one more time, please?
Okay, it's $95 to get it set, and then $3.95 is added to our town street light bill
I have another question.
per month.
If we were to accommodate Mr. Bump, what would we do if somebody else came along and asked?
That's
I don't know if there's a traffic,
No.
if there's a traffic count that came into play.
There was no
or-
traffic count done, we have not done a traffic
No,
count.
I don't, not a huge fan of adding those lights anywheres, cause it adds cost to us, to convenience of somebody that lives in that area. I wouldn't say necessarily them, but, it's, we already pay, I forget how much a month for the lights that we have on our properties now, that we pay for, is $700-800 a month. It's less than that now, because we changed everything to energy efficient stuff, but it used to be 800 something,
I think
$900
we're
a
gonna
month.
open a can of worms.
Yeah.
I think so too, I'm not in favor of it.
My
so.
other question is, if Bobby were to do this himself,
Yeah.
on behalf of the town, would he get a tax credit for it, something like that?
Tax credit.
Well, they should, no.
No, I'm just throwing that out there.
He could, I'm sure he could have the town put him up one and he paid the bill for it.
That's what I meant. and
The,
then he-
the
then he
town
gets
does
some-
it all the time for people, but you pay the bill, they probably offer him the same deal, yeah,
Yeah, he can call in and
Probably
do
the way
it,
to go.
but.
yeah.
The other thing, because he says, well, the sign sets back, which I did notice that today, and I didn't know if maybe
Well, it has to sit back so many feet from the intersection.
It's still one of the older style, smaller signs.
Yeah.
I wondered if one of the bigger signs would.
Yeah, I can have Kevin look at it, see what
It's
I
not a bad idea, Brian, and, we can just notify Mr. Baum that, we would like to do this because, we feel it might be better more because of the issue with these streetlights. I mean, they could be all over. We get all right
every
wet.
corner.
Well, that's
Every
just
corner.
it,
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
so we can vote on that we. I guess we're all in agreement, we're
Well,
vote on it, but.
if you wanna I'll make a motion that,
Yeah.
we have, the signage looked into and improved for that intersection.
Mhm.
And at this present time, we're not gonna put a street light out.
A second on that?
I second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, I just have it. Any other necessary business? I have a library, Earl.
Well, we had this discussion a while back, we haven't discussed it very much, but I just don't, I think we need to discuss it more, or get it moving, is this roof issue.
Mhm.
And their claims that, you know, the heating system is
Furnace.
bad. Those are pretty significant issues for a building like that, and, you know, it's right there, you know,
We just had
we
the
can't-
heating system inspected over there. I mean, granted, yes, it needs to be replaced, it doesn't have to be replaced.
Well, I don't know how bad that is, but the
Yeah.
roof is an issue.
Mhm.
But I don't know if you found anything else.
Well,
No,
that's what I was
I'm still
Yeah.
playing phone tags, but.
Well, I mean, if they had condensation and this and that, I mean, how long do we wanna let that go?
Yeah, it's not condensation, it's the issue. I think it's heat loss going through the roof is what it is, but.
Well, there's a
Just
couple of
because of the
different.
ice dams.
Yeah, there's the ice dams,
Yeah.
there's the, I think the copper on the entranceway vestibule is somehow lifted, or, I'm not
Yeah,
quite sure
not sure
what that
about that.
problem is, but,
Yeah.
so there's, I think again, it's a result of ice dam, initially. So if we can get hold of somebody to get a good look, and give us an estimate as to what.
Now,
it needs.
Rainey said
He doesn't, yeah, it's copper, he doesn't wanna get into it, so I.
So we gotta go.
I'm getting hold, I'm trying to, get hold of Kevin Bannister.
Yep.
Roofing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see what.
I can give you his number if you want. I got it.
Oh, I got it.
You got it,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, he's primarily in Chittenden County, but we have to do
Oh, he
work,
works up
but he
here.
does do work up here, and he does good work, for the looks of it, so.
Yeah.
See if it's something that he can give us an idea.
Mhm.
I don't know about the heating system, I'll leave that up to you guys.
Well, I think right now we'll concentrate on the roof,
Yeah.
and, you know, we can have some kind of discussion here.
Well, I mean, if we all feel that the heat system we replaced, let's get 3 estimates on it then.
Well, let's, but I'm
That's
really
the
concerned
simplest.
about that roof from what I heard. I mean, it should be addressed, because that's a significant part of the infrastructure, and if you don't address it, you're gonna be spending more money.
Now, the heating system is, it's 2 systems for each, is there a system in the original building and then?
No, it's one huge heating system
One
up in the
huge
attic,
in the attic.
upstairs of the building, as far as I know. I've been up there once or twice, but, I can,
Because we are responsible for it,
yeah.
When we had somebody come in, have we had Efficiency Vermont come in to see if there's a more efficient way to?
I don't know if they've ever, the library's ever had any, let me look at it.
Because I think that could be a good
I'll call
avenue to
Efficiency
start with.
Vermont.
Mhm.
Yeah, and see what.
Yeah, if we're gonna make a change, definitely we wanna make something that's gonna be least cost to operate.
I'll see if I find some time next week to go over there and see if we can get up in that attic and see what's
You
going on.
can, it's quite easy to get up
I've
there.
been up in there before, but as far as there's a crawl space, you gotta crawl in to get to the other side of the building.
Yeah.
It's not pretty looking, so.
And it's gas fired.
I know you've been up there, I see you smiling, so.
I would assume it's a gas fired system.
Gas, yeah, natural gas.
I'm happy to go with you if you like.
Sure. I'll let you hold the flashlight.
I can do that. I got a headlamp.
Yeah.
And one other thing I just add under, I sent out the memo, I copied everybody on it to all department heads, it's budgeting time.
Yep.
I'll send it to you, we're gonna set you up with an email.
Yeah.
So that, and the schedule's pretty much as it was last year.
Yeah.
There was nothing there for the police department on, and that last year, as I recall, that was the one that we had the most discussion on, so
Yeah.
we gotta figure out
Yeah.
how we're gonna squeeze it.
Okay, yeah, squeeze it in somewhere.
Anyways, I believe the library was the first department for the budget.
Yes, they usually are, library and rec and,
Yeah.
okay. Correspondence,
No, we didn't have any.
nothing, public comment? Oh, go ahead, Cody, then.
Sorry.
No, go
Oh,
ahead.
you're good.
I was just curious about, you know, the policing in the town between 5 and 1 AM, right? So I live on Route 7, towards the outskirts, if you will, of the
Yep.
town. I just know from personal experience, when my kids get off the bus and when I check my mail, it's like playing Russian roulette, going through there. Hey, listen, I got a lead foot sometimes too, like everybody does, but I don't, ever see Swanton PD out that way whatsoever. I see them in West Swanton, I really do. But, what?
I don't know if the Swanton Village covers that road, it's not state, the state.
No, it's town, no, it's
It
still
is
town,
town.
it's still town prop, town.
I've called,
Town
and, you know,
district.
they responded, you know,
Okay.
but, I've never seen them just sitting, once I saw them sitting at the golf course.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just don't see, a lot of police presence in the town. I know it's convenient because West Swanton is just easier to get to from the village, blah, 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 but, I just don't see a lot, you know.
Where we do, you don't see the reports that we see, like you
Right.
said us tonight, that we do see on there, where they've stopped cars, where they've been on other roads in the town.
Right.
So we do monitor it from that perspective too, at least I do, so.
Yeah.
But during our contracted hours, we have one officer.
One officer we pay for, yeah.
And that's why, you know, you can't be in every part
Right.
of the town all at once.
Is there any thoughts of, or anything, just, you know, throwing it out there to, I know the VSP covers, I believe, from like 2 or 3 AM or something like that until, has there been any talk about contracting the sheriff's department or anything like that for added coverage, or is?
The problem is the funding.
Oh,
So-
absolutely.
So we just quickly and briefly, we looked at that last year, budget time, about going 24 hours a day coverage. And it was just, we couldn't feel, with everything else we had in the budget last year, we couldn't feel that we could swing it. It was like another $350,000 a year, something like that, to add a full-time officer.
Yeah, that's a catch, that's a big.
It's a tough situation, yeah.
I don't know how it would get resolved, I mean, it's just, obviously,
It's
I'll
not-
both
it's
ways
a-
before I cross, but it's, you know, and there was a really bad motorcycle accident just down in the corner there, and, it's really, it's stressful, that's all.
I live on 105, you don't have to tell me, I know.
You sure
My
do.
daughter's 13 years old and I still don't let her cross the road by herself.
Yeah,
She has to
I'm out
cross the
there.
road to get on the bus.
Yeah, I'm out there every day, you know, waiting for them.
Oh, my kids have been almost hit numerous times.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah. But, I mean, you know, tough, one officer for, Swanton Town's huge. And if people don't realize how big Swanton Town is.
65 miles of road.
It's big, you know, and for one officer to cover that from 5 to 1, I mean, it's,
No,
so,
certainly.
just something to
Yep,
think about.
appreciate your opinion. Joel, did you have anything to add?
Just real quick, site visit tomorrow, 10 o'clock with AOT on the Lvrt parking. It's not a public site visit, so I didn't bring that up earlier.
Thank you.
I see you there, we're in trouble.
No, we gave your time, next to the 18th.
Right, no, and yeah, there's a separate one
Yeah.
for that one, but this is for the people running the grant. So I just bring that up, I don't know if anybody's gonna be there, I will be there. Okay.
I don't think they can make it.
What time is it?
It's 10 o'clock. We're gonna meet right on Robin Hood, right where the
We
trailhead
only
will
have
be.
2 board members go, remember?
Yeah, no, I really can't. I gotta bring it.
And then-
I volunteer tomorrow. And I got appointments here tomorrow too.
As long as Nicole or somebody's representing the board, I think we're gonna be good, but I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
And then real quick, 4th Street cleanup, is that something we can periodically get on the agenda and just kind of the status, because I don't know if we've even heard from the state yet.
Well, other than they referred it to this other person in DEC and we're awaiting that. And I've sent numerous emails and phone calls, so.
Yeah, well, keep plugging at them,
I
see
don't
where you can get at
at
it.
it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
And are you just waiting for them, do we have an approved, a cleanup plan we want approved, or we just
No, they're
No, they-
reviewing it.
reviewing the cleanup plan, or?
No, they're reviewing what it's gonna take.
Oh, so we don't even know what we gotta do yet.
No.
That's right.
So when they get done reviewing this, they're gonna say this is what you need to do.
You need this.
And you said that's the state we're dealing with?
Yeah.
Okay, so that explains the whole situation. with the
Yeah.
state,
Yeah.
So,
But once we get this, then we know what we gotta do.
Right, and then we can make a plan.
Hope so, yeah.
exactly.
Wow.
It could be the state just saying you're gonna have to hire a consultant to go out and do all
Well,
this
which we
testing,
already-
and then determine what the cleanup is.
And we already have the consultant.
Yeah.
So she said, well, call this person in the state when I didn't get results. So I called him, this other person says, well, we'll send this over to this person now that I got, well, we're back to zero again, I haven't heard it.
Where's the property?
Fourth
The
Street.
Fourth Street property.
Oh, okay, I
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah, so it's, just that
All right,
state.
all good, public comment? We need to appoint a new vice chair, as Mark was the vice chair. I'll entertain a motion to,
I make a motion that we put Mr. Fournier in that seat.
vice chair.
I second.
All right, you good with that?
Midway sorry.
All right. We'll have you on speed dial now. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Thank you, Earl.
That comes with a raise, right?
Yeah, upcoming events, Wednesday, October 12th, planning commission meeting, 6:30 here at the town office building. Monday, October 17th, property taxes are due by 5 p.m. Again, that's Monday, October 17th, pay your taxes by 5 p.m., no extensions. Tuesday, October 18th, regular meeting, but, actually, we changed that. So Tuesday, October 18th, we're gonna meet on Robin Hood at 5 o'clock. And then we're gonna meet here for our meeting at 6 o'clock. And, where am I? I lost my track here. Yeah, Tuesday, October 27th, DRB meeting, 6 p.m. here at the town office building. And I believe we need to go in executive session quickly to speak on real estate. So I'll entertain that motion.
I move that we find that we enter executive session for the select board to receive confidential real estate information for which the premature disclosure of it to the general public would clearly place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage. Thank you, gentlemen.
I'm just gonna sign this real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, you're good. Did I get a second on that?
Second.
Second, all right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it.
I move that based on our just made findings, that premature disclosure will place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage. We now enter executive session.
The exit executive session.
All right, a second on that.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion too.
I second that one.
All right, get that, second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Adjourned, and there was no action taken from second session. I regret that. So,
Thank you,
all right.
gentlemen,
Well,
ladies.
thank you, Steve.
Congratulations.